is the Wancho animation film project. Now the Wanchos are a group of people, a community of people in the distant northeast of India, in the furthest corner that borders onto Myanmar. And the Wancho people have some wonderful stories. This is the story of the Gourd. It is the story of the creation of the first chief. Now the Wanchos, they have a very strong tradition. They always had a very strong tradition of chiefs. And the story goes like this. This here is the hero of the story. His name is Topa. And Topa is an early man. He is a kind of average man. One day there were two brothers who went hunting with their group of friends and supporters, and they hunted far and wide, and they were successful in their hunt. As according to the Wancho tradition, they decided that they had to divide the meat equally amongst them. And as they were standing there and they were arguing and deciding how to divide the meat, according to the traditional customs, Topa emerged from behind a bush. Now Topa, he had been doing his agriculture, his field work. He had been cutting the vegetation and he was clearing the land and he was planning to plant his seeds. And when he saw this hunting party passing across his land, he sprung out from behind the bush and he said, "Stop! Give me too my share, you are on my land." They kind of ignored him. But the last person in the group handed Topa a leaf and a seed and said, "Plant this outside your field hut." Now the field hut is a little hut at the edge of the field where Topa could rest, because the field was quite a long way from his home. So he would go there carrying his basket like this, and he would walk, after he'd eaten his morning meal, he would walk off down to his piece of land where he was growing his rice crop. And in those days, and even today, the way that they do agriculture in the Patkai hills, because it's very hilly and it's very difficult to grow things in such a hilly terrain, what they do is they slash the jungle, they clear away the trees and the bushes, and then they sow the seeds, and in the rains the seeds come up and that's their crop. So this is called the slash and burn technique. And because the fields were quite far away from where Topa lived, his little home, he had built this little field hut. And he had been instructed now by this supernatural hunting party, because they were kind of supernatural beings, to plant this seed outside his field hut, just in front of his field hut. He followed instructions because he was a clever man and he was a man who had some authority, and he wanted to listen to the wise elders who had given him the seed, and he planted the seed outside in front of his hut. And then he carried on his work, and then finally the day came to the end, and he took his little basket, he filled it up with wood and some vegetables, and he went home for the night. Then the next day, again after his morning meal, he set off down the hill. It was quite a long way to his little patch of land where he was cultivating his crops. He went down the hill with his little basket and his dhow. Now he used his dhow to clear the land, to slash away the jungle, to clear the bushes and the trees with his little dhow. behold, he got the shock of his life when he reached his little field hut, because this seed was a magical seed, and it had grown and grown and grown over the night. And it had become this huge, great big gourd plant. Now Topper was amazed, he was shocked. He just looked at this gourd plant and he was astounded. But finally he had to get on with his work, so he put down his basket, he took up his dowel, he bent over and he started tilling the land. He started clearing away the vegetation so that he could plant his seed. He started burning the vegetation that he had cut. And as he was doing this, he was so busy and absorbed in what he was doing that he hardly noticed the voice behind him. He started singing his little song, he was humming as he worked, and then he heard this voice humming along with him. This was really a shock. He turned round, there was nobody there. Nobody at all. "Who's there?" he shouted. "Who's there?" came an echo. Again he looked right and left, but there was nobody. Finally he saw that the voice had come from the gourd. Now there were 2 gourds on this magical great big gourd plant. There were 2 gourds, and he noticed that the voice came from one of the gourds.